Welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev. This is take 3. We are trying, my internet is having a moment, and so here we are. Hi, Bev.
Hi, how are you doing?
Uh, Rolling with the flow. That's what I'm doing right now. Woo,
Me too.
right? So we
Right.
had a conversation and then it stopped, and now we're going to have a conversation again. So, how would you like to start with this conversation, Bev?
I would say, so this morning I had started my cycle, which like I said earlier, I'm 50, I'll be 51 this month actually. And I'm still having a regular cycle, which is awesome. And I was having cramps and I started thinking, oh God, I got cramps. I'm going to go take something for it, which we don't have to go take something for it. And then I thought, well, there's got to be a reason that I'm really feeling these cramps. There's got to be more to it because I feel like everything shows up in the body as a message. And I don't think, it can be a welcome experience, especially for someone that wanted to have children. If they weren't having their cycles, it would be stressful for a woman that wanted to have a baby. So here I am going through this process and I'm like thinking back to like all the times, why would I feel this way? Why would I be like, oh, I don't want my period. I don't want to feel these cramps. I don't want to, why would I feel like it's so heavy sometimes? And sometimes that's how it is. But it's like, for me, I feel like I go back to all the times that I've even gone through the process, having a competition and it would just be like the day before I would start my birthday I remember going on my honeymoon and started, it was always seemed to be this time frame, and I would try to control it even with birth control pills or whatever. So it would come on different time frames, and it never worked out that way. What was a big, huge message of don't quit trying to control everything, Bev.
Right?
But it's so funny. And now I'm in a place like, it's an opportunity for me. I'm thankful. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with my hormones. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. It means that all these years I've accumulated energy, like being stressed out, sitting at high school or something, like thinking I'm going to get up and there's going to be a mess on my clothes. And it's like, there's all those worries and stuff, but it's like, how can we look at it differently is where I'm at this morning. It's like, how can I look at it differently from where I'm at right now? I'm 51, or I'll be 51, but doesn't mean I still can't have kids. If I chose to go have a child right now, I'll freaking go have a child right now. Only because I have so much more to offer than I had to offer when I first had kids, or because I love babies, or whatever. But it's an opportunity.
Yeah, when we're yeah, like you said, as teenagers or even young adults, that is such an inconvenience.
Yeah, it feels like it, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. But we weren't brought up in the I wasn't anyway, brought up in the home. I was a tomboy, so it was very inconvenient.
Me too.
So connecting to the femininity of it was not in my wheelhouse. And so yes, I didn't like it. I didn't like having that cycle every month because, I was primarily hung out with the boys. And so not because I was attracted to them, it was because I just like hanging out with the boys better than I did the girls. And it was just a lot of fun. And so having that feminine side show up every month was wasn't fun at the time, is what I would say. So
No.
so yeah, it's about, I think it's about having people in your life at a young age to teach you the feminine side of your body is very beneficial. I didn't have that, so it took me until, honestly, till my late 30s before I start connecting to my feminine side. And in my early 40s, right, we're the same age. In my early 40s is I already went through menopause. So I haven't had a cycle in 5 years. But I'm on the flip side of that with what comes with not having a cycle, right? All the hot flashes and what I would say about that, though, is it's very common, and you hear it a lot, that when women go through the change, usually it's around 50. I was surprised when mine came in early 40s, but I was like, okay. But that when you go through that change in your body, that women become very, I mean, they're already irritable, right? Quote unquote irritable during their cycle to begin with. But then when they go through that change in midlife, then it seems to get a little worse for most. I've heard stories, right?
Right.
But what I recognized in myself, and I think this to be true, I really strongly feel this to be true, is that my cycles were mild, so I didn't have excruciating cramps or the backaches, or I didn't have any of that. So those were pretty mild. It was just the inconvenience of it. But going through that change in my early 40s, that because I was doing my internal work, my emotional work,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through that irritability and that extreme bitchiness and that yes, I've been tired, and yes, a little irritability comes with that, because when you're sweating, I call it the blanket shuffle. You're sweating, so you take the blankets off, then you get cold and you put the blankets back on, and you're just doing that all night. And other than being tired, I haven't really experienced that anger and all that stuff. But I feel like it's because I did my work, or I had done a big chunk of my work. I'm still doing my work. Don't get me wrong. I'm still doing my work. But a big chunk of it had been done. Like a lot of the anger issues and a lot of the guilt and the shame issues, right? So coming to peace with all of that, that when I went through my change in my early 40s, other than the physical changes and what comes with that, emotionally and mentally, I've been pretty good.
Which to me makes sense. I mean, to me that I'm for 100%, just like I'm thinking about this morning, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be the way we've heard it, heard people tell the stories. It doesn't have to be that way, because it really does have to do with this internal stuff, that's this guidance that we're, you ask questions for help, and you're being guided to do this internal work, and it's really huge. You even brought up feminine, so there's been a few things that I've listened to recently about feminine and masculine, and it was talking about feminine. The girl even said, like, if you're afraid of the dark, because if you think about yin and yang, yin is the dark side, the resting side, not the doing side, and yang is doing the masculine and doing and everything else. And it's like, you might be afraid of the dark. So I went through a phase where I was afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. I didn't start honoring, I would probably say I'm really starting to honor my feminism. But I also was learning from what I had read recently. It was talking about, and maybe that's why I can notice my, maybe I'm where I'm at, where I could notice, oh, why am I complaining about this period? Whatever. Be thankful that it came here. Be thankful that I have 2 daughters. There's so much to appreciate. Be thankful that I'm feminine. But like you said, as growing up, I grew up and I didn't have anybody to be feminine, to teach me to be feminine. My mom worked like 3 jobs and she was busy all the time, so she was not available. So that there was that, but it was also the same. I always hung out with the guys, and it's like, what was the conversations you always heard? I mean, the guys would be, guys, men, boys. It was always about how bad women were. They weren't smart, whatever it was. And it's like, I didn't want any part of that. I didn't want any part of that feminine aspect. I was always a hard worker. I could go out and work hard, even up to a few years ago, until I got sick and had to slow down. But I'd be out there doing brick work. I'd be out there all from the crack of dawn till it was dark outside with a light. So it's like I was always doing that stuff. And it's so amazing how we want all these things as progression in our lives, but we won't honor ourselves. And then what I was being told is that we have to heal our masculine side too. So our masculine, for me, the defensiveness, I had the defensiveness all the time. I always felt like I had to fight. I didn't really feel like I was protected as a kid. So my masculine side was my protection, and now it's letting my masculine side know at this phase of my life, I don't need my protection anymore. I've got my intuition. It's always going to guide us. Like, I don't need to be in that fight or flight. And to me, that's part of the masculine thing. That's that doing side, that protective thing. And one of the comments was made, like, to let your masculine side know to lay down the swords. Like, it doesn't have to be this way anymore, that I'm okay, I'm safe. And that's resonated with me quite a bit lately. So it's funny that you brought up feminine, because it's like wasn't even really tying feminine with my cycle, but it clearly is. I mean, clearly, that's just whole part of the whole program. But it's like that's another thing to honor ourselves, to honor our bodies because of all the amazing things that it does, and change the mindset. Right? That's an old mindset that I've had.
Yeah, I my right side, masculine side, so right side's masculine, left side's feminine. My right side is very strong. I mean, I'm right-handed, you know, carrying the car seat with the baby in it, man, you know, it's just like, ooh, got a strong right side. And anytime I would get injured, it would be on my left side. And again, being raised as a tomboy and always out in the dirt and doing boyish things and um, not connected to my feminine side. That means, you know, when we talk about the body talks to us, when I would injure my left side, it was a signal to me that I'm not giving any nurturing attention to my feminine side. I'm not connecting to my feminine side. And it was all on the right for my masculine. And of course, I didn't learn all this till I was in my 30s, mid to late 30s. Like I started learning about the two sides of the body. And then when I realized that most of the time it was my feminine side getting injured or experiencing discomfort, I was like, oh, well, there you go. I'm not nurturing that side. So when I started giving more attention, what does that mean? Um, well, jeans and sneakers and t-shirts, right? So adding floral prints or any kind of print, lace, jewelry, makeup, lipstick, because I'm a chapstick girl, so putting lipstick on, or even just that bubble bath. Um, you know, it's feeling the feminine as well, and that took me a while because I just wasn't used to it. And I've been most of my life an independent person. An independent person is very much in their masculine energy. Defensive, been defensive most of my life, masculine energy. So is learning about the feminine side and bringing some harmony. I don't say balance because to me that's struggle. If you're standing in the center of something trying to balance, it's like you're doing this, wobbling all the time. And I'm just like, let's bring harmony. There are times when I have to be very strong in my masculine still when it comes to doing things, right? A masculine is about doing. When we're in our feminine side, that is about our feeling, and we need to be in our emotions. Well, when you're putting on that facade that I'm strong and independent, again, you're setting the feminine side aside and not feeling into those emotions that are bottled up. And so that's part of the work is letting those emotions surface and feel them, because that is your femininity, that is your mothering, that's your nurturing. And so that's bringing harmony to the two sides. There may be days you're fully in your feminine, other days you may be fully into your masculine, but at least you're utilizing them. And then there's days where you're just kind of in and out of both sides. I mean, it's both sides of us are so important. And so it's so vital that we give attention to both sides.
It's true. People get too caught up in, the feminine and the masculine, but not being aware that it's part of each person. Those masculine and feminine are part of each person. So I mean, it's just an interesting thing how we could live, because I was always a tomboy, how we could always live that way. I was out riding my bike. I was always a t-shirt and t-shirt and jeans, tennis shoes. That's it. It was comfortable. Now I've just graduated to stretchy pants.
I just gotta tell you this. I was such a tomboy, climbing the trees and everything. There was one summer, and I grew up in Vegas, and it's hot in the summer.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the summer. My legs are black and blue from climbing trees and jumping walls and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And my mom said, you have to wear long pants, which meant jeans. That's all I ever wore was jeans. You have to wear long pants until you don't have those bruises all up and down your legs, because somebody's gonna think I'm beating you. I mean, that's how much I was active into, I mean, doing crazy stuff on bicycles and roller skating and skateboarding. And And yeah, no doubt that could be feminine too, but not in
Oh
the
yeah.
way you were doing it.
No, because you're actually in a harmony. You're in a space of harmony when you're out like that doing it. To me, that's a whole nother realm, because you're also very grounded. You're outside. You're doing all this thing. You're having fun. That's what I'm constantly telling people. You're not hurting because you're old. You're hurting because you're complacent. You're hurting because you only do the same movements every single day. You don't do anything outside of the ordinary. I mean, if I had a nice strong tree here, don't think I wouldn't be climbing it, because I always like to go climb into the trees. I did. It's
Yeah.
like, so, or riding a bike. If I had a nice bike path on, I'd be out here riding around on a bike. Those were, but even still right now, I love to be outside. I keep going out, walking through washes and looking for, rocks, but it really isn't about all that. It's just about being outside. It just feels better,
And
which
being
is kind of
outside
like,
is feminine too,
it is,
right?
because
We
that's a
don't we
harmony.
don't look at,
It's a
because
harmony,
we connected to nature. That's all feminine side.
because Mother Nature,
That's right.
right? Yeah. No, it's an amazing thing. I was
And
going to say,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go. No, you go.
Yours is going to be more relevant on this topic.
No, I was going to say the opposite is true too, that maybe you are being very masculine, very much in your right side, and you injure that side often enough that it gets your attention to go, oh, I need to rest. I need to tend to my body. I need to give my body attention. That is all feminine energy. And so now you're moving that energy from the masculine over to the feminine, because now you have to nurture yourself. And so that could be true too. I knew
Oh,
once I learned about all this, I knew that because I was injuring my left side, the feminine side, it was because I wasn't giving enough attention to it.
and I feel that's a lot of times the body does. It kind of screams out at you. Starts out with little messages here and there, and then it gets louder.
Yeah.
And it does. It makes you give attention to that area. It's like, oh, then that's all you're talking about, which isn't the reason why it happened. It's for you to just put energy into your space, to pay attention to yourself, to acknowledge you.
Yeah. And even it could be just adding, like, if you look at Bev's background, just adding some floral, the angels. I got some color here. I got flowers back there too. Hearts, something that represents femininity to you. And just bring that in more. And then there's the other side, right? You're too feminine, and then you got to bring some masculine in, so maybe that's some boldness, some bold color. So to me, this afghan would represent both, because it's colorful, it's beautiful, but it's also got bold colors, so it could be a representation of both masculine and feminine. This top, totally feminine, it's low cut. Yeah. So just acknowledging through your body and how your body is showing up for you, where are you lacking attention for your body and for your masculine and feminine energies, and where are you giving too much attention. So headstrong, independent, I can do it myself, I'll prove you wrong, defensiveness, right? All of that.
Yes,
Do. I got to be busy all the time. That's all masculine energy. A queen is very feminine, because they sit back and they think, they feel, they process, right? It's learning to take that breath. Give
yeah,
yourself a moment to take a breath so you can clear your head. How many times have you heard that? I need to go outside and clear my head. Yeah, because you're too much in your head, too much in your masculine energy of trying to figure things out. The intuitive side is your feminine side. Your intuition says, let's take a breath, open yourself up, allow the information to flow, receive the answers. Receiving is feminine, giving is masculine. So when you're a giver, like I used to be that, give, masculine. Controlling. Receiving is feminine. I wasn't in my feminine energy, so I had a very difficult time to receive. Very difficult.
that right there, that right there is a huge impact. And I haven't heard anyone say it like that, but that makes perfect sense. That's another aspect of saying that you're not okay in your feminine, because you're not allowing yourself to receive. That's awesome.
Yeah. So give, right? receive.
Yes, which yes,
It's
give,
a
because
give
give
and
is more of
take.
a masculine, is an action. Yeah,
And we need both.
we do.
We got to practice being givers, but we also have to practice being equally receiving
Yes,
for ourselves.
yes. And you can check in with yourself a lot of times, like, so leaning forward, that's more in your masculine. That's like, yes.
Listen
And then
to me.
that's right. Relaxing back, sitting back into your intuition, relaxing into your feminine. It's not, it's just a more relaxed state. And I feel like you can do both. But so for me, a lot of the stuff is right. So we receive information from our intuition. We don't take action. And I've heard a lot of teachers talk about this. You don't take action, or you don't do anything. You don't think you have to go do something or make something happen. You just kind of like rest back into it, and you wait for that information to flow to you, whatever it is, the next move. Maybe it is to go, I think I'm going to go out into the yard and pull a couple weeds or whatever, but I'm not doing it yet. I'm in my intuition. I'm in my feminine side. And then my action side would be like following through on whatever that intuition gave you, whether it's going out and turning on some music and singing and dancing around. It's just a matter of listening. And I feel like you'll always be in harmony if you're always listening
Oh, for
to your
sure.
intuition. And then of course we always have to have that follow through. It's like listening and then following through with the guidance.
Yeah, so for sure. So your feminine is receiving the intuitive guidance. Here I come. Now you got me all aware now. I'm sitting down. Feminine energy is receiving that intuitive guidance. The action is the masculine part.
Mm-hmm.
Action is doing, which is masculine.
Yes.
So we need both all the time. Like go,
Yes.
Receive and do, and receive and do. It's how business leaders operate, believe it or not. I am hearing so many business leaders talk about intuition, and they're very, some of them, I mean, a lot of them are male, and so they're very egotistical. They're very much in the do and the prove you I can do this and all that, right? But they're also talking about that gut feeling or that intuition. And so they're recognizing, they probably wouldn't say it in these terms, but they're recognizing the yin and the yang, or the feminine and the masculine. Like we need them both.
Yes.
And
I
when you're a
agree.
doer, like how exhausted were you when you were a doer all the freaking time?
I would go till I was done, right?
Right? So you're just exhausted. And the
Yeah.
feminine says, let's rest. Let's take a break. Let's take a breath. Let's just contemplate this for a moment. But that masculine energy is like, we got to go get this done. We need to figure it out, right? The feminine says, let me receive the guidance to do this.
And I was so much in the masculine at the time for so many years that it's like, oh, your body's tired? Okay, well, let's go have another cup of coffee. Let's go add some sugar to the system. Let's go, whatever I could think of to do to keep my body going, I would do it. Not
Snickers and a Coke.
not even recognizing, right, how much you're doing, you're doing a disservice to yourself, because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to rest and to heal. But all the time, I was always like that. And then until I couldn't do it anymore.
And
My
then,
body physically couldn't do it.
right. And so then we look at generations, right?
Oh,
So we
yeah.
bring this up frequently, that generations before us was about farming and needing enough kids or family members or help to take care of the land. And you work from sun up to sundown, right? It's constant. The
Yeah.
women taking care of the household, the men taking care of the outside, but both parties do like continuous, and you just didn't stop. And then it was, you can't rest until the work's done, or you can't play until the work's done, you can't have dessert until we get this done, right? So recognizing through generations the mentality or what it took to survive. Now if you think about that, that was a lot of survival mode. That's a lot of masculine energy for many years. And now we are into people teaching and recognizing how important being in the feminine energy is vital to our survival. And this is in all people. It's just not women. Men and women have the masculine and feminine, and bringing them into harmony to work together. Um, this is vital information for our well-being on a
It
day-to-day
is.
basis.
It is. And being in our feminine allows us to be in our intuition. So how many years being the tomboy and yourself as well, we cut ourselves off from our intuition all the time. Like all these messages, all these things you'd ever want to have, this knowledge, this guidance, this knowing things are, and I would always know things were going to be okay. I always knew things were going to be okay. I had no clue why I knew those things. I understand now why. I mean, I just know that I'm, no matter what, we're all gonna leave these bodies at some point. But otherwise, while we're here, we're fine. I mean, I'm fine. I'm not fine if I'm staying at home in fear. Then I'm not fine. I'm not going to be okay. When you live in that space all the time, it doesn't feel good. But the knowing that I was always going to be fine, I was taken care of, I was protected, no matter what, which is such a strange thing because I just didn't. But I also learned not to rely on other people for that feeling, because it's like they weren't trustworthy. They didn't have my best interest.
That's right. And like all again, your intuition, you're connected to your intuition, is going to tell you these things
Yes.
from the get-go. And no doubt, I mean, I in the past, I have been very much of giving people the benefit of the doubt. Even when the energy told me, you don't want to hang out with this person, and ignore it. And gain some more wisdom through trial and errors, which served its purpose, no doubt. But that intuition for sure can make life so much enjoyable and flowing.
Yes. Just don't spend all your time now because this is something I've noticed too. Now that I'm trusting my intuition, there's been a few times that I haven't listened to it recently, and it's so easy to beat yourself up. Like, why didn't I listen to that?
Yep.
Like, things could be so much different right now, but it's not that's not the message. That's not the learning. Their learning is, I'm learning. This is my intuition, and this is what it's telling me, and I can trust it. I don't have to beat myself up when I don't take the advice, but it's like that was my choice. So it's like it's such a different space to be in, instead of feeling like you're doing something wrong, because you're not doing anything wrong. We're here on free will. We have this nice guidance system inside of us that might say, go south or go north or wherever. And if you choose to go west, well, you're probably not going to end up where you planned on going to. But that's all right. You'll get there eventually. It'll just take you a little longer.
Right. So the learning path is going to be just a little longer.
But it really is easy. It really is simple.
Yeah. And the masculine side says, I'll figure it out.
I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll figure it out. That's what I tell my mom. My mom said when I was very little and learned to tie my shoes, she said, Amie, can I, let me help you with that. And I just looked at her. I said, I do it. Very little. Right. So, yeah, even at learning to tie my shoes, I was very much in masculine energy.
Nice.
So it's interesting that I contemplate Wayne Dyer's statement that I don't know what book it was in, but he talked about it frequently, was that the first half of our life is a lie. And I think we've talked about this before. The first half of our life is a lie. So living by the means of everybody else's expectations and the way they see life should be. So like my grandparents, they worked on farms and, picked fruit trees and actually camped out in the orchards and things like that. And so that was all survival. And then, they have their kids, raising them the same way, basically with the same mentality. And then the grandkids start showing up, And I'm the oldest of our grandkids, and um, primarily raised by my grandparents. So having their mentality as well instilled in me. So it's all masculine. It was just so much masculine energy from the time I was probably from the time I was conceived, that having, we talk about this, unlearning to be me, like unlearning that I have to be in that energy all the free. It is exhausting. I realized how exhausting it is being in that masculine energy all the time. It's so tiring.
And then you get home at the end of the day and you're like exhausted and you just want to go to bed. But because you're in your masculine, you don't want to, it's like having time for the kids or the family or anything else. That would be in your feminine side. It's like that's like that side's tired, and just the masculine side still knows I got to get dinner made. I got to do this. I got to, it's constantly doing all these things instead of resting into the place and allowing other people to help you out to do these things.
The
Oh my gosh, I
receiving,
can,
right? Allow
yeah,
people to help you, receiving.
yes,
No, I got
receiving.
it. I'll do
Yeah.
it. Don't
Oh
worry
no,
about it.
I'll do the dishes. I'll do it. Because
Yeah.
I would cook and then I would do the dishes afterwards because I want to fill the dishwasher up
And then be
and I
mad
wouldn't
about
ask
it.
the kids. Yeah, exactly. So ridiculous. But what it boils down to is you're not allowing your feminine, you're not allowing receiving, you're not allowing your feminine, you're not allowing your intuition, you're not allowing your guidance. You're so cutting yourself off from so many things, from a wonderful, easygoing life, really, regardless of whatever's going on around you. It could be so much easier.
And a big part of that is the belief that, well, a couple things. Like if you if you want good things, you have to work hard for them. Um, Life is hard. I mean, if you just think about our language since that we were raised with,
Mhm.
life is hard. Anything you want, you got to work hard for. Um, you gotta give it your all. Like, and it's not that way. I've learned so much about intuition and the guidance, and just the universe is going to say, here's the next step, take that step, and then we're going to give you the next one. And that's trusting, that's having faith, that's having confidence, that's having belief that the universe is there to help us and guide us. And you could say universe, source, God, any terminology you want that is for your highest and greatest good. But what we think is, I need to know how to do all the steps because I lived this for a very long time. I need to know how to do all the steps, and I need to get it right before I even start. And that's not true. The universe says, here's the next step. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been following that. Like, okay, here's the next step. Okay. Here's the next step. Okay. So here's the next step. Take action. Intuition says, here's the next step. Take action, right? It's the feminine, masculine. It's like like you're walking. Take the next step. Take the action. The next step's here. Take the action. And if you just call it baby steps, call it what you want. It's just listening to the guidance, then taking the action instead of trying to forge through life and making things so difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. And it can be enjoyable, believe it or not. I didn't think that the first half of my life. I just thought life sucked. Why am I here? Life sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done adulting. I'm out.
I 100% know how you felt.
But I'm loving because you gave me Anita Morajani's book to read, Dying to Be Me, and wow, she's got a lot of powerful words in there.
Really, it made me think. It stopped to make me think. And I got you the book, and I got someone else the book, and then I've got someone else the body book. So because I know that that's where they could be at. But I'm in a place of, I've been receiving, you've been giving, you've been very giving with me. So it's like turning around, I'm in that place of wanting to give back to people. And it's like, God, books are like your best friend, really. I mean, there's so much information in there. It's such a different perspective. In a lot of ways, we've talked about it before, how it allows you, it's almost giving you permission to be to be yourself.
Yeah. And if we really connected with our spirit, we would understand that spirit is of ease, is of joy, is of playfulness, is of fun and joy, exhilaration and laughter, lighthearted, and the spirit is in that feminine energy.
It
It's
is.
the ego that's in the masculine energy, and we that's what we are. We're spirit and we are body, and is to allow those two to work together instead of fighting against one or the other.
Or thinking one's out to get you. How many times have you heard someone saying your body's trying to kill me, or it's out to get me, or it
Yeah.
hates me, or all these things, and it's not even true. So my whole message with everything that we've talked about today is like, if all this sounds foreign to you, then come and hang out with us more often.
Yeah.
Because at one time it sounded foreign to me too. Like
Right.
I didn't get a lot of the stuff, but as you start going through things, you have such a different understanding about life. Really, come hang out with us.
Yeah. We got some wisdom. I'm just saying.
Because we're learning as we go.
We are. And that's just it. Is like that's why I keep reminding people that we're still learning and growing too. We don't have it all figured out. We still got issues. Trust us. We still got issues that we're working through. And but what we do know is we've also been through a lot, healed a lot, and bringing forth that information and guidance to help others. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean our life is roses. Maybe it's a different flower because roses have thorns, right? All
They
daisies.
do.
How's that? Our life isn't all daisies. We have our own internal struggles, external struggles. Like we're still bumping around in life, figuring things out. When we figure it out, we share what we know. That's wisdom. That's when you take information, you take knowledge and turn it into wisdom. And that's what we come to share. And so that's why we show up every week and do this.
That's
Agree?
right. Agreed.
I think that's a great place to leave that conversation. Um,
Sounds good.
just making a note. So we do appreciate your time and energy to be with us during our conversations, listening to the recordings, and we ask that if you find this information beneficial, to please share it with people that you know and know that would they're struggling and that we're all struggling in some way. And then struggle seems like a strong ick word, but it's true. We have struggles. Could be mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual. And so help help your brothers and sisters out. Help your friends, help your family, and give them the information that you feel is going to be beneficial to them. What they do with the information is their business. We've had these conversations. Just you just guide them to the information. What they do with it is their business. So don't take the responsibility for their healing. So with that, thank you for being with us. Tea Time with Amie and Bev. You can always connect with us through our Facebook page, which is Amie and Bev, or email amieandbev@gmail.com. Any final words?
Have a wonderful week. Enjoy every moment.
Absolutely. Go play. Go have some fun.
That's right. That's right.
All right, all. Thank you so
Laugh a
much for
lot for
being
me.
here. See you next time.
Bye.